here's the other thing. Obama is the founder of ISIS? Yeah. Nice try, sleazy Don, but I'm afraid not. ISIS was founded under a Republican administration. It was the Bush-Cheney administration. And the way that ISIS came into the world initially was as Al-Qaeda in Iraq, under the control of Zarqawi. Now, that Al-Qaeda in Iraq has gone through numerous name changes. According to one site, at least 7 name changes, right? But that doesn't mean anything, right? Nusra is Al-Qaeda one day, and then Nusra is not Al-Qaeda the next day. You get the idea. But ISIS is the Takfiri organization of Sunni Muslims who hate the West, but they hate the Shiite power, Iran in particular, even more. Now, the way in which this was founded, just to refresh everybody's memory, was that in 2004, the U.S. was stunned, right? The neocons were stunned by the fact that the U.S. invasion force was faring rather poorly against a united front of the entire Iraqi people for national independence, dignity, and kick the foreigners out. Always a very effective program. If foreigners come and try to break down your door and rough up your wife and so forth. So the idea was, and I remember watching this at the time, the Bush-Cheney administration had a tremendous need to have something that said Al-Qaeda in Iraq, right? They needed that because there had been no weapons of mass destruction, not even a can of Raid, as Lionel said at the time. So there were no weapons of mass destruction, so they needed something that said Al-Qaeda. And along comes Zarqawi, and he says, I pledge allegiance to this Al-Qaeda organization, said Zarqawi, the madman. So that was what they needed. And with that, they then proceeded to the U.S. and the invaders. They attempted to split, and did split, the united front of the Iraqi people against invasion. They split that and made that into a civil war between Sunnis and Shiites. Right? The people who did this originally, Bush administration, later on in 2007, still under the Bush administration, after the Republicans had lost Congress, you remember the monomania, right? The complete contempt for the voters, which Mad Dog Bush Jr. showed, right? George W. Bush. He said, I'm going to have a surge, and I'm going to have General David Petraeus be the general in charge of the surge. By the way, 2004, that was largely Petraeus. But by 2007, it was totally Petraeus with just some help from his State Department sidekick, Ryan Crocker. All right? That's the other guy that was involved. And they took this Takfiri organization, ISIS, further, and they expanded on the civil war, and part of this was called the Anbar Awakening, right? Anbar province, precisely the heartland of ISIS, or part of the heartland of ISIS now, or it could have been called the Sunni Awakening, right? Now, the awakening, of course, was bribery. It was that these tribal elders and so forth were bribed. But that's where it comes from. That's the origin of ISIS. The idea that this started under Obama is absolutely insane. And the hypocrisy of Trump is obviously astounding, breathtaking, unless you got some experience, which by now we do. That is that Trump pretends to be all riled up that Obama is the founder of ISIS. Well, Obama is not the founder of ISIS, but the guy who really is the founder of ISIS, General David Petraeus, is somebody that Trump would be ravished to have in his cabinet. We thought he would be considered for the vice presidency. Maybe not. But there's a job waiting for David Petraeus. And if he can't pass through the Senate, can't get confirmed, they'll give him something in the White House, right? Because Trump has praised him on any number of occasions, and he said, "Oh, what he did was not as bad as Hillary, and look at him, he got conviction out of it and other penalties, whereas Hillary's walking away." Sorry, Petraeus knowingly gave a book full of top secret, cosmic, code word information to his paramour, Paula Broadwell, who God knows might have been a Mata Hari operative sent in by some people who wanted to shut down Petraeus. And under normal circumstances, Petraeus would be shut down now. He'd be just rolling in dough on Wall Street, coming from his friend Henry Kravis of Kohlberg Kravis Roberts, and attending the Bilderberger Group, of course, in the entourage. Petraeus would be in the entourage of Henry Kravis, that great military and strategic thinker. But there it is. Trump would take Petraeus into his cabinet rather quickly.